Hello, um, this is my new video, and today I will try to cover Germany. Next week, I will upload my video about France. Let's start. I want to share my screen first. Okay, this is my presentation. So today I'm going to try to talk about Germany. Again, this presentation is based on the book written by Michael Roskin. The book's name is Countries and Concepts, Politics, Geography and Culture. Germany. Why Germany is important? German history includes important lessons about the following issues: artificial borders, construction and stabilization of a new country, economic policy, hybrid voting systems, combining different political systems. Who are the Germans? Contrary to the image the Nazis portrayed, Germans are of an ethnic mixture. The first Germans identified by the Romans were a collection of barbarian tribes, some of which became Romanized. Since the days of the tribes, Germany has presented one face to the east and another to the west. To the Western world, Germany was respectful and tried to copy the high cultures of actors like France and Italy. The rise of Prussia. Let's look a little bit to the historical background of Germany. Prussia is an important issue while analyzing history of Germany. One German state known as Prussia came to dominate the others. Prussia expanded greatly over the 18th century. The Prussian nobility, known as Junkers, contributed to modern Germany a passion for control and order in both military and civil administration. German nationalism is another important issue to be addressed while covering Germany. At the time of French Revolution, Germany was still over 300 states, with Prussia and Austria being the most powerful. When Napoleon arrived in Germany, he was first welcomed as a liberator and modernizer. Napoleon also brought nationalism as well as liberalism. Nationalism took off in Germany, but German nationalism became angry, romantic, and racist. These are the features of German nationalism. The Second Reich. German unification came from above. Unification was the work of the Bismarck rule, who was a staunch conservative. Bismarck became prime minister in 1863. So I think Bismarck is not written like this. I'm not sure actually. Yes. The Second Reich. By 1870, Bismarck consolidated German state without Austria. This led to the proclamation of the Second German Empire, or Reich in other words. The Second Reich lasted until 1918. World War I. Parties grew in the late 19th century. Socialists became more moderate and revisionist, supporting radical change less and less. Bismarck retired in 1890. Some right-wing Germans felt betrayed by those on the left after World War I. The Versailles Treaty ended the war, blamed Germany, and demanded 33 billion in reparations. Hitler and World War II. Now, after World War I, we are going to cover World War II. From 1933 to 1939, Hitler's purpose was to expel the Jews from the Greater German Reich. In 1941, this policy changed from expulsion to extermination. The concentration camps created under the Nazi regime were thereby expanded to include extermination camps such as Auschwitz. Although Catholics, Poles, homosexuals, and gypsies and the handicapped were targeted for persecution, if not outright extermination, the Jews of Germany, Poland, and Soviet Union were by far the most numerous among the victims. In German-occupied Europe, some 6 million Jews were killed during the war. So I took this from Britannica website. Hitler. I'm gonna give some information about Hitler. There is a general consensus about his historical importance. Hitler was principally alone responsible for starting World War II. This was different from the various responsibilities of rulers and of statesmen who had unleashed World War I. His guilt for the implementation of the Holocaust, that is the shift of German policy from the expulsion to the extermination of Jewish people, including eventually Jews of all Europe and of European Russia, is also obvious. This is also from Britannica. History. So after World War I, World War II, in 1949, the Soviet Union made Berlin the capital of East Germany. West Berlin was not officially a part of the Federal Republic of Germany, but in practice it was. This was resolved in 1990 when Greater Berlin became a land. Germany divided. In 1949, the founders of the Federal Republic of Germany were hopeful for reunification. The founders drafted basic law called Grundgesetz. I don't know how it's called pronounced in German, rather than a constitution. This was meant to signal that the German division was temporary. The president, right now I will try to cover the political actors. President. Germany's president is a classical European president with general symbolic duties. The president is the head of state rather than chief of government. The president has the following political duties. Proclaims laws after passed by parliament, dissolves the Bundestag at the request of the chancellor, appoints and dismisses the chancellor at the request of the largest party in parliament. The chancellor is strong with much power in German political life. The FRG chancellorship has been stable and durable in part because the basic law requires that if the Bundestag votes out a chancellor, they must simultaneously vote in a new chancellor. However, constructive no confidence has happened only since 1982. The cabinet represents different parties because of coalition governments. The typical German cabinet is smaller than its British counterpart. The cabinet does not have a fixed number of ministries. The Bundestag, it is the German federal parliament. Germany is known with having a no strong parliamentary tradition. Since Adenauer, the Bundestag, the parliament, has been trying to establish itself as a pillar of democracy. Deputies are elected to 4-year terms, but elections can happen earlier. As it is a parliamentary system, the Bundestag is not the strongest critic of the executive. In comparison, the Bundestag is less powerful than the American Congress. Let's look a little bit. Let's look at the political culture of Germany to some degree. German sociologist Karl Manheim is important. Karl Manheim coined the term political generations to describe how major events put a lasting imprint on young people. Today's young Germans were impacted by the fall of Berlin Wall. They are known as 89 years. The 89 years stand in contrast to the post-war 45 years and anti-materialist 68 years. The 89 years exemplify post-materialism. And here comes the last slide. The Cold War divided Germany between the Western Allies in the West and Soviets in the East. In 1989, rapid changes took place in East Germany, which ultimately led to reunification. Berlin was united into a single city and again became the capital of Germany. So today, I tried to cover Germany. In my next video, I will cover France. Thanks for listening to me.